What are the keys in establishing a personal brand? Why is branding important? Do you want to be perceived as more consistent and confident? Would you like to be more distinctive and engaging in order to build a more trusting relationship and expand your current potential? Do you have a unique story to tell about your life or career? Do you have a clearly articulated vision and style? Have you identified your strengths and unique abilities? Are you leveraging your talents and expertise? Today, how are you being perceived? How do you want that image to be perceived in 5 years? Hello, my name is attorney Ramsey Bahrawy, and welcome to Your Money, Your Life. In this segment, I'm going to discuss the importance of branding with Suzanne Tulien of Brand Ascension in Colorado. For 26 years, Suzanne has been passionately serving clients by creating and providing solutions accompanied with powerful strategic branding consulting and training. Suzanne is a co-pioneer of the Brand DNA system. This is a system designed to help small to medium-sized businesses define their internal brand attributes. In addition, Ms. Tulien is the author of several branding books and articles. Recently, Ms. Tulien released an online video presentation and workbook called Ignite Your Personal Brand Presence. Suzanne, welcome to Your Money, Your Life. It's great to have you on the program.
It's great to be here. Thanks, Ramsey.
The factors or elements that would go into developing a good personal brand?
Well, the brand elements, or the attributes, which we call them, are a part of the DNA system that you were talking about at the beginning of the show. And those include, we help you identify your authentic differentiators as a person. Everybody has them. You just got to dig deep and find them. These standards of living, this area where you begin to make the intangible tangible. And then, of course, we help you flesh out your core style attributes, which is your personality. What are those 4 or 5 attributes that you claim you own as a personal brand? And then there's your core values that everybody should have and think about, think through and identify and define so that they can then begin living them and make those tangible as well. And then there's a piece called what we call a personal mantra, and then there's a personal brand promise that we help them flesh out through this whole system you were talking about. And those are the critical elements of making up the whole brand itself.
Okay, so it appears to me that this system that you were talking about is designed around the DNA methodology that you have. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and can you define what the building blocks are to begin building a personal brand? And how does one incorporate that personal brand into one's everyday life?
Well, if we talk about what I just mentioned with those characteristics, or let's just call them attributes, the differentiators, the standards of living, the core values, and the style attributes, those, if they're lived in a way that's consistent, distinctive, and very authentic, then you've got yourself an awesome brand, because those are the characteristics that really make up a very successful brand.
Okay, so it's my impression from what you've just said that things like family, career, community service, and even charity are important attributes, and as long as these attributes are presented in an authentic fashion, that's what actually creates the good personal brand. Am I following that correctly?
Well, again, I would say that those elements you just mentioned, like work and community and charity and all those things that you do, are channels for you to make your brand tangible. This is where you show up and exhibit and express your core values and your brand style and what makes you different. So those are the channels of the areas in your life and everybody's lives that they can begin showing up in a tangible way, so that those attributes you identify in your own unique DNA, for example, compassionate, if I can go back to compassionate, how does that attribute that I claim as part of my unique DNA show up in my work life, in my family life, in my charitable life, or my community life?
Okay.
So that's what I mean by making it real.
Okay, so when you make reference to compassion. Compassion is actually part of someone's personality, isn't it? So really, if we want to look at this more globally, we're talking about personality issues and how those personality issues are then developed into a personal brand. Isn't
Yes.
that?
And remember that everybody already has a brand. The question is, it could be good, bad, or indifferent. The real question is, because it's based on perception,
Mm-hmm.
the real question is are we in control of it? And in this process helps people become totally refined in understanding what their position is in this world, right? And what attributes are they claiming their own,
Mm-hmm.
and that they're going to be able to leverage in those channels we talked about, at work, in community, with
Mm-hmm.
friends and family, and relationships, spirit, mind, and body. So if I select a few attributes as part of my DNA,
Mm-hmm.
then it's a real conscious decision to start living those attributes through these channels of everybody's everyday life.
Okay, I get it. So we've got channels, and then we've got the actual personality characteristics, and those characteristics flow through those channels. Now let me take this in a slightly different direction. Now there are people that have unique stories to tell. Can those unique stories be a basis of someone's personal brand?
They're a basis, and I would say they're also something that are a credential to the personal brand. I like that word credential because it helps people understand the experience this person has actually had and how it enriches who they are through story. And everyone has a story.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of digging deep and understanding, what makes you passionate about this, or this, and why are you in the position that you're in? Why do you have a vision of being this in the next 5 years? So everybody has a story too that they can begin to really get conscious of and start writing in their minds, and even writing tangibly on a piece of paper, which really helps them live it more.
Now I understand you have a tool to help define one's personal brand. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about that tool and how they can get access to that tool?
Sure. It's available online. It's an online training program. It's self-directed, and it's called Ignite Your Personal Brand Presence. It's a brand new product. I developed it because I work with a lot of solo professionals who felt that the business version of my program, my Brand DNA program, was a bit too broad because it talked a lot about employees. But with solo professionals, they wanted to build their personal brand because their brand is their business. But this product also delves into that external, beyond the business. It's about your life. It's about building a personal brand presence through your life, committing to it, putting a position in, and putting that stake in the ground, and then self-actualizing into that. So yeah, it's online. It's available to anybody who's interested in it. There's a downloadable workbook. There's 4 modules, and that they can get through it pretty much, if they're pretty consistent and deliberate, they can get through it in about a week.
Well, that's great. That's a great place for us to stop, Suzanne. Thank you.
Great.
A brand is simply a perception. In developing a personal brand, it is incumbent to carefully consider and define the attributes that you want others to notice and identify about you. In so doing, you will elevate how others perceive your brand. Personal brand building helps a person realize his or her strengths, leverage his or her unique abilities, and thereby achieve his or her potential. When living to your potential, your life changes for the better. Good personal branding ensures you have identified your values, your unique style, and your differentiators. These elements reach into every facet of your life, from work to family to finances, and of course your community. As a result, we become more authentic, increasing our self-esteem, confidence, and happiness. In turn, these traits build trust and increase distinction. As a consequence, a person becomes more memorable. Therefore, good personal branding is essential, as it can provide instant credibility, command respect, and increase distinction. As such, eventually a person will become synonymous with a good brand message. Therefore, to create an effective personal brand, educate yourself. A good place to start is by visiting Ms. Tuline's Brand Ascension website and checking out the landing page in the Ignite Your Personal Brand Presence program. For in the words of Ben Franklin, an investment in knowledge always pays the best interest. In closing, I would like to thank my guest, Suzanne Tuline of Brand Ascension, for her participation in this program. And as always, thank you to you, our viewers, for watching Your Money, Your Life. My name is Attorney Ramsey Bahrawy, Building Your Trust.